Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Quentin. This is my open house episode. Many of you guys know that last weekend I had a brand new house for PadSplit. I opened it up and I wanted to try something new. Okay. So we know that as existing investors that utilize the platform, you are limited if you only solely rely on the platform to fill your house. So for many of you, if you don't know that, one of the things that is special or fun for me is that I'm an employee at PadSplit while I'm an investor in co-living. The reason I'm there is because I get access to so much data, so many people. I probably am so deep in co-living just because I'm in it every single day that I find it super useful. Okay, so one of those things is, hey, we know what the limitations are of the platform and the product and the experience as a host. I want to think outside the box. So as I run and operate my co-living platform and my co-living portfolio, I don't want to be limited by, hey, I'm not getting enough views on my listing and enough booking requests over here. Let's figure out how to solve my problem as an owner operator to get more people into my house and aware of my house. So I collaborated with PadSplit and said, I'd like to try an open house. So of the members that I've spoken to, and I speak to hundreds and hundreds of members, and over the course of 4 years, I've probably spoken to thousands of members. But one of the things that I've always learned was, and when I asked them questions about, hey, why aren't you booking? We have 30,000 rooms, 20 some odd thousand are in the rooms themselves. Like, why aren't you booking more rooms? We have tens of thousands of people on the sideline. Every week they're scrolling through, but they're not converting into sales. They're not converting into booking rooms. So of the feedback that I got for all the members that come to my house, I always ask them the same exact questions because I'm constantly seeking data from my customers who are paying me on my business that I run. Why did you choose my room? What did you like about my listing? What made you choose this specific room from all the other rooms that are available? And I take that data and I aggregate it, and then I go back to my marketing, which is my public listing, and I modify it. Because if that's the customer that I screened and I said yes to, and they moved into my house and they paid me, that's my ideal customer. That's my avatar. I take their feedback and I put it back into the marketing, which is the bait for more people just like them. Kind of makes sense in my mind, right? So as I continue to do this feedback loop for my customers, the consistent thing that I get when I talk to members is all I see is one picture of the bedroom and a couple of pictures of the house. I don't know what it's really like living there. So that initial feedback led to the house tour. I was a big proponent of getting videos onto the platform. And then the platform, they put it on there. They gave us a video option, right? So now it says, hey, put your house tour here. Now we have the ability to put videos. Okay. Does that mean it has to be specifically of a house tour? I don't think so, but the video option exists. So other hosts are doing creative, cool stuff about what kind of videos they're putting in there. I too am always testing, right? So one of those things, and I solicited the reasons why people are struggling, which was, I don't know what neighborhood it's like. I don't know what the house is like. The room, it's always virtually staged. I don't know what the real room looks like. I don't know what the other people that I'm going to live with like. And then when I spoke to a couple members in my house, all of them ironically shared a very similar thought, which was like, look, I'm the smart one. I'm renting this room because I want to save a couple $100 versus what I was paying before, but I don't know about these other people in these other rooms that are booking. Okay, let's get you all into the same house. Let's learn from what realtors and other apartment complexes do. Let's host an open house. What can happen, So I worked with PadSplit. They collaborated. They marketed to too many people, actually. They marketed to like all of these people that they hadn't even finished their application process yet. Some of them were creating accounts and qualifying, and some were disqualified. So we're learning. Okay. We're honing and we're tweaking it. But I had 96 people respond to the survey. So there's plenty of people that think the idea is good. I had 16 people show up. So think about 96 people got it, but they're all over the city. So, and they didn't know what the address was. Um, I love sparkling water. So shout out to the old Costco sparkling water. But 16 people showed up, and a couple learnings was many of them knew somebody that was in PadSplit. Many of them had friends that were living in PadSplit. Many of them found us via different ways. And some of them were living in existing pad splits. Some of them were on the sideline looking. I met a woman who told me, I've been following your social and I've been waiting for this property to come up and I'm here. And it was the most interesting question and answer period that I had. Like, great conversation. Okay. She's actually moving into room one. What she did was, hey, I'm currently living in an apartment. Will you hold that room for me for 3 weeks so I can give notice to my apartment and move out? And that was the first time I'd ever been asked that question. And I thought about that. I loved that answer. One of the questions that I put into my member screening questionnaire, and I suggest maybe you guys should try it, is tell me about the place that you currently live or you last lived, and tell me about the conditions in which you left that apartment or house. And what I've learned is the same thing that we've learned, owning businesses is like, tell me about your relationships with the other vendors. If that person talks so much shit about their last landlord, didn't do this or didn't do that or didn't do this, and they were always the victim, I guarantee you're just next on the list of the next landlord who's just didn't do this or didn't do that. So people have different ways they screen. This is one of the questions that I like because it speaks to the human nature of that human being. And some family members say, if you're a kvetch, you're a kvetch, so it is what it is. I don't really necessarily love that personality type for clients and customers of mine. I treat my business like my business, so I can say no, right? I've understood that as I operate my co-living business, even though the platform identifies people that want to book, it is up to me whether I want to let them in or not. I have to follow the same HUD laws and landlord rules as everybody else. But if I don't think you're going to be a good customer for the way I do my business, you're not going to get approved to book in my business, in my house, right? Because simple rule for people to understand. I don't know if you do or do not understand this, but when a member comes to our platform, they pay 1 week in advance. And then if they move into your house, I, as the landlord, you, as the landlord and the property owner, we take on that risk, whether this person is going to pay week 2 and week 3 and week 4. And a lot of people who are, out there complaining about members who come in, they use like a referral code or a free promo code for $350. They don't have any skin in the game. This person comes in, they don't even pay for week 1, and now week 2 comes around and there's no payment that comes through. That's a real risk in our world. Like, I'm not here to pull punches. Like, I'm here to tell you what the reality of it is. So why do I screen? Because I want to know they have a working job. I don't necessarily love the fact that it's just a however they got screened for income. You need to tell me how you're going to pay my rent, because once you move in, I take on that risk of you not paying me. Okay, so that's one of the big reasons that I did the open house is I want to meet the human being. Some people that can't scale, some people that can't do it, they're out of town investors. You have somebody locally, right? If you want to use this, you don't have to use an open house. I just wanted to test something new. You could throw shade at me. There's a lot of trolls out there that are talking about it. Why would you do an open house? Probably the same people who are bitching and moaning about low occupancy, about their business not being running well. Listen, these are just different ideas. These are just different ways that people that I am testing things to run my business as efficiently as possible. Because I sit in this weird seat where I'm inside the boat, right? I can work with PadSplit to try cool stuff and neat stuff. If it fails, so what? We fail. What's the worst case that happens? I learn something. You learn something. I share it with you. Amen. Right? We are all better off because of it. So the lessons I took out of this open house were, yes, we have people on the sideline. Yes, they're super curious about what it looks like, feels like in their house. We know the statistics. We know 65% of people, 6 out of 10 people that come in to book in your PadSplit, it may be the very first time they've ever stepped into a PadSplit. Think about that, right? My product that I am putting out into the co-living world on PadSplit's product, I'm proud of our product. I'm intentionally trying to elevate what we think the perception of co-living is. I'm intentionally trying to go chase a better member, a better quality member in terms of from the landlord's perspective. I want to de-risk the possibility that you're not going to pay me. I want to de-risk the possibility that you're going to punch somebody in room 2. I want people. I'll share a story. When I was speaking to this woman who rented room 1, who I'm holding for 3 weeks for her, in our conversation, she said, "You know what the best thing about our conversation is that you are looking for people like me, and you told me I'm looking for somebody who has something to lose. I want a house full of people that have something to lose, because if you are so desperate for housing or for anything, and you're like in full survival mode, you don't have anything to lose. And that creates a very, very difficult range of behaviors that I don't think are super suitable for the business that I want to run in co-living. Meaning that, like, if you're super hungry, you're going to steal somebody's food. If you're super, super desperate, I don't know what you're going to do. Right. So in my house, one of the things that I took from all the members is I'm not sure if the people that are going to apply for this house are like me. Like I always joke that it's the Kendrick Lamar idea. They not like us. What do you mean by that? If you're the person who's making a smart decision to go from an apartment complex that you're overpaying, that you're straining your economic financials to stay in there, but you make a decision to downgrade your housing to save $700-800 a month, I want you to be in a house with like-minded people who have something to lose. Working professionals, they're intentionally using housing as a way to find more financial freedom in their monthly financials. That's a good place to be because you're living in a community of like-minded people. That is ultimately my goal, is that I want to build communities where people are trying to elevate themselves. I'm looking for tenants that are on this trajectory of improvement, and they're making a conscious decision to use housing as one way to unlock some financial improvement. If you save $500 a month, does that allow you to afford a car? Yeah. If you get a car in a couple months of staying at my house, does that radius of where you can find a job go from 2 miles to 45 miles? Yeah. Connecting the dots for some people, it's good. It's a wonderful thing to think about. In the very beginning, we have members in some of our houses where they saved that money or they spent that money in year 1. And now as they get into year 2 of staying in that house, they're like, "Oh, snap. I can actually put that money into an account and look to save to buy a house." And I got a member in one of my houses. She just told me yesterday, she goes, all right, I'm done messing around. I'm ready to look at buying a house. And I just kind of nudged her. I was like, "Hey, that's what I do for a living." And she was like, "Oh, yeah. Will you teach me how to buy a house?" The hell I will. Yes. I would love for you to be that success story. I would love for you to be the one that says, "Hey, this is what it looks like if you intentionally make decisions and you live in one of our houses, and one of the properties that I run, my network becomes your network. I want to help you." And some people don't want to do that. You don't have to. That's the beauty of a dynamic marketplace. You can do whatever version of this that you want. All right. Yapping. My apologies. Getting back to the open house. Members came in. They got to meet me. They got to alleviate a lot of their fears. Where's the house located? How deep is it? Is it far from the bus stop? Do I need a car? They got to alleviate all of these things. What's the neighborhood look like? Will I feel safe here? What are these other people that I'm going to live with? So 3 of the people actually met each other during the open house and they got to yapping. You want to hear something super duper cool? Huge shout out to 2 of my members. I sent in a message to one of my houses. 2 of my members, they took an Uber and they came to go look and tour my new house. They literally held court. These people that the potential people that were coming through, they were asking them all sorts of questions. "Hey, what's it like living in a pad split? What's it like living in a house with that guy who manages it? Tell me what your thoughts are." And they were just answering so many questions. This is what I think going into it. What's it really like? How's it changed your life? I have a member, and I'm so proud to talk about it. She hasn't paid rent in probably a month and a half, but it's a good thing because she does social media, user-generated content, where she's getting paid for talking about what her experience is. She's not lying. She's not a spokesperson. She's just putting out real user-generated content. She's getting paid for the content that she produces and edits and offers PadSplit pays her for some of it. She's now took her social media following to a point where she can start monetizing. Living in the house has offered her more flexibility and more avenues to make income. If more members could figure this out, the more sticky they become. This is the same house where, because she's doing that, it's triggering other members to be like, wait a minute, I could do that. And now they're opening and starting a YouTube channel, which I'm super excited about. Why? Because it makes them more sticky. It makes them stay not just the 14 months they've been there, but another month, another month, another month. Who's that help? This guy. I keep telling the same story because, I've realized in social media, people aren't going to see the same thing. But these are the kind of things where it's more than just a room. I keep telling people it's more than just a room. If you are curating this community and you're curating this experience, people want to stay. If you're just selling a commodity, they'll go find another room right down the street that just is $10 cheaper. Like, you have to give reasons for why people want to stay. And most of it ties back to the people they're living with. All right, let's get back to what else did I learn? The members' fears, they're real. When I open the door, is it going to look like the picture? So I had them fill out a registration survey. They told me who they were. And as they were going through the tour, they gave me room numbers that they preferred. Hey, I like this room. I want to get on the wait list for this. And it was interesting because they saw the listing, right? And I was like, hey, can you help me? Just give me feedback on the listing on the page that you're searching for, and then the experience when you open the door. And a couple members, they allowed me to record it because I wanted social content for it. So when they opened the door, I got to see their facial reaction because I wanted to see the real. For some that ever seen the room, and they're like, this is so much better than what even the picture showed me, because it's a two-dimensional picture. In their mind, the house far exceeded what their expectations were for a pad split. They had friends who had told them what their experience was. And a lot of them, were this first generation type of houses, like 7, 8, 9 bedroom, 2, 3 bathroom houses where everybody shares bathrooms, where the rooms are really small. When they opened the door, it was just a mattress and a mattress cover, I hope, nightstand, very minimal, right? It was purely the asset of a room. I take a very hospitality approach to it. Agree, disagree, don't really care. This is how I run my business, and I share it openly so people can decide to steal what they like. Please share with me the things you're doing better. Like, this is how we all get better and we lift the floor. The moment they open the door, I'm now dubbed that like the golden moment. Like, am I exceeding your expectations? Am I meeting your expectations, or did I disappoint? Because I think that first impression is so real. And I steal this from my friends who are single and dating on Tinder. Did the photo match? Like, I'm such an asshole. I have a good friend of mine that he dates on Tinder. And like, if I know he has a date, I'll start texting him, pick up the phone, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. And I call and he's like, what is wrong with you? Yo, did the picture match? And he's like, you're such an idiot. But we just have fun with it. Same simple concept applies to how people are buying and renting our rooms. When you open the door, because you've already made a commitment by paying for the first week, right? And you did it with the hope and assumption that was going to be the reality. Why do I provide linens and bedding? Because I want the picture to exactly match the experience when you open the door. I cannot share with customers what that experience is going to be like via just a picture. I love using videos because it's real. You can't fake a video. You can actually on AI, but I choose not to. I want that experience to be exceeding your expectation when you first move in. Why do I do that? Well, it helps me get my rooms booked faster. It helps me reinforce the idea that this is more than just a room. It helps me solicit more referrals from members who give better ratings. It allows me to say, hey, if you like this experience, tell a friend. Here's my referral link. This is how you make living in PadSplit a side hustle. It opens up their mind to this idea of like, it's more than just a room. It's more than just being a tenant. This is something that you can use. It's an ecosystem that you can participate in to make $250 per referral. You can tell people, hey, I've got open rooms in my house. I don't know about the rest of the platform, but this is what it looks like in my house. You should move into room 6. It's vacant. These are real. This is how I operate my business on PadSplit. other people let their business get run, and they just put it on there with hope and dreams. I don't do that, right? I'm intentionally running my business, improving, and tweaking because it's my business. I need to collect good, solid rents from people who want to stay. I need to keep accepting people who are going to get along with others who have already raised their hand and said, I'm looking for good, affordable housing solutions. You may be it. And then if I exceed that expectation, they're going to tell their friend Bob, and Bob's going to move into room 5. And then I get 2 good streams of income. And there's less friction because they know each other. These are all different little deposits in how I operate my business. Because as I continue to expand, the more referrals I get, now I have people on a wait list that want to join the next house that I'm at. This woman came into my house and told me she follows my social media. I had no idea that members were even looking at my social. So now I realize that this is an avenue where I can advertise rooms that I have available, where that message is true because that is the members who are authentic and giving user-generated content around what's it like living in my product. I'm just using PadSplit as the platform in which I house and market my properties. And I use all the tech stack on the back, but it allows me to scale. So yes. Do I pay the same fee? Yes. Do I get more out of it? Probably. Because I'm intentionally curating an experience and I'm leveraging the platform to maximize it for visibility. All right. So what else did I learn in this thing? I learned having 2 different entrances was really important. I got a lot of feedback from members. They had questions about laundry. How do you schedule laundry? There were already, as salespeople would talk about, there were already implied buyers, they were asking about what's it like to live here. Tell me about what the house meeting looks like, and the members being there. And we had a panel of them having a panel discussion, Q&A. It alleviated a lot of their fears. They had already gotten to the idea of like, oh, I can see myself living here. Amen. So I got half my house filled, super excited. I'm waiting for the 2 people that have to put in notice. I've asked many different hosts this and I've gotten different responses. Would you hold a room for 3 weeks for this ideal customer? I opted into it. Yeah, I did. Right. Because if that's the avatar that I want, is this person who's going to opt down intentionally to rent smarter? Why would I be a dick and be like, nope, if the room rents, you're not in? Versus like, yeah, if you're committing to put in a notice at your apartment, by all means, I'm going to facilitate that move as much as possible because you're going to be an advocate, raving fan of my product. And we're going to look for more people just like you. And that's a community we're building in this house. These are the kind of things that were really interesting. Yeah. And then the feedback around the rooms are bigger. I like the size of the rooms. I like the fact that you have bedding in there. I had one member who, chose a room and had pink bedding. He's like, hey, any chance you can change that out? Yeah, that's a simple, easy change for us. So we swapped out the bedding so he didn't have to have the pink bedding. Lesson learned, right? It's like you can offer it. I have one extra set of bed in a bag in the house now for that simple reason. If it's pink and somebody wanted it, because I had ladies who toured it, they're like, oh, I love the pink. They didn't choose the room. This gentleman chose the room. Yeah. So that was good. I got to test out the move-in instructions with the people that were there. I'm like, hey, if this is what's written out there, does it make sense? It was easy for me to implement like all the QR codes and stuff I have in the house to explain to people, hey, I'm looking for your feedback. This is how engaged I am with it. This is what our house meeting format would look like. You do get cleaning supplies. Just reading that you have cleaning supplies. I had a woman, she told me, she's like, wait a minute, you offer laundry detergent? And I was like, yeah, I offer laundry detergent. She's like, oh, hell, that's enough reason for me to want to book a room. $8.99 for laundry detergent. Is that really the reason that you want to book a room? Hell yeah. I will offer $8.99 laundry detergent in a house if it gets me 6 months, 12 months of tenure. I'll trade $8.99 a month for $11,000 a year. I will. And, for those that always question this stuff, like, yeah, I factored into the room price. That's why I'm probably a little bit more expensive. And I let people know up front, I'm super transparent. Yeah, your room cost is going to be a little bit more, but I need you to understand the value of staying here is higher. If you don't see the value of staying here, then to you, I'm probably just a commodity and just another schmo that you're going to book a room from. You could probably go down the street and get a cheaper value. And I suggest you do so because you're not the customer that I'm looking for. The more selective I told the people that I was interviewing for, the more they aspired to want to be in the room. It was really interesting. What other lessons did I get? Members liked talking to each other. They liked the fact that they had a bond going in. So of this group, 3 out of the 4 people that booked, they felt like they had camaraderie already. That helps me in setting up the community and the house rules because they're coming in together. So anybody else who comes in as a single, there's a group to factor into. That helped a lot. Interesting selection process for as people were touring the rooms. They had a lot of different feedback per room, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. That was interesting to me. It reaffirmed the idea that most people gravitate to the privacy of their own ensuite bathrooms. So as I continue to look for new properties and new acquisition, I get to, feed into my acquisition phase. I'm looking for more bathrooms. I lean more toward private bathrooms. I'm looking for houses that have the convertible space that I can put in more bathrooms. That was interesting. The privacy and quaintness of the house they liked. So it gets to reaffirm how I choose properties. They didn't like the driveway so much, but they loved the fact that I put a fence in on the other side. So that reaffirmed questions and concerns that I have about the exterior. So super helpful as I continue to develop my portfolio and run my business was the feedback loop with talking to more and more customers. Not everybody was going to qualify for my house. We had some people in there that currently had jobs at Pizza Hut and currently had jobs or they were going to have a hard time qualifying. I got to identify some concerns with the member onboarding process for people that were not very savvy. I had a computer available for them so they can finish out their approval process. Yeah. So a lot of great learnings. I will continue to do these. I think my ultimate goal was one, that potential members see that, this version of co-living on PadSplit exists. Whatever your preconceived notions are, let's expand that to understand that there's more than just a single room. The other part was this idea of how I want to run my business with community-based living, having them introduce each other, being part of an initial cohort that reaffirmed that that was a truthful thing. That's something that I'm leaning into. What else was the learnings? Being like in the back of a neighborhood far from a bus line, a lot of people have really strong feelings about that. I've learned that's not an inhibitor for the customers that I'm seeking. That avatar that has a car, that's a real thing. It's not a blocker for them. I don't know if I've shared this in this video, but like it makes sense where some people have houses that are right on a bus line, right? And they're in the middle of the heart of the city. Because historically, that's the avatar and customer that we were chasing before. When I look at our business, if I am required to be next to a bus line and that person loses their job, I think the radius in which they're getting employed again is really small. Whereas if you have a car and you want to transition jobs or you lose a job, the radius of which you are looking for a new job increases by 50 miles. So it de-risks me getting paid rent. That's the macro in my head. Understanding that that's the avatar, I now have to go find supply and housing that allows for enough parking. So this house here allows for 6 cars in the back, secluded in the parking deck and area that we dug out and created, and then you can have 1 or 2 in the driveway in the cul-de-sac. Really quiet, really secluded. People like that. I improved the lighting on the outside because by the time that open house ended, it was in the twilight and it was really dark. So I had to have the GC come back and put in 7,000 lumen lights, lit up the driveway with low voltage lighting and opened up and lit up the parking area so that they felt more comfortable. Yeah. So it was a really good learning experience. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. And yeah, let's go. Let's keep building together and raising the floor together.